feel like the Guardian has not done a good job of protecting my mom.
This is not something that is like a conspiracy theory.
According to a new report, Wendy Williams does not have frontotemporal dementia.
For years, Wendy Williams was the loudest voice in the room, the woman who built a career on exposing secrets, calling out lies, and telling the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it made people feel. But now, she's the one trapped in silence, locked away, stripped of her freedom, cut off from her own life. And the most shocking part? The person fighting hardest for her isn't a lawyer, a celebrity friend, or a powerful executive. It's her son, Kevin Jr., and he is not playing games anymore. Because behind the scenes, while the world was laughing at memes and gossiping about Wendy's downfall, something much darker was happening. Something that now has doctors, court officials, and Wendy's own guardian facing legal action.
I feel like the Guardian has not done a good job of protecting my mom.
Kevin Jr. is officially suing Sabrina Morrissey and the doctors involved in Wendy's care, accusing them of misdiagnosing her mother and helping destroy her life. Let that sink in. This isn't just about paperwork. This is about a son who believes his mother was set up, a family that feels betrayed, and a system that might have failed one of the most iconic women in television. And once you hear the full story, you're going to understand why people are calling this one of the most disturbing celebrity cases in years. Wendy didn't just wake up famous. She fought for everything. From her early days in radio, being the outspoken girl who said what nobody else dared to say.
Wendy Williams, she got fired from Hot 97 because she had a picture of Puffy. So if you don't mind, give me the story from your point of view and what was in the picture.
We were in Cancun. For whatever reason, dude was playing with Puff. He went behind him and grabbed his trunks and pulled them down. Some girls that was taking pictures. They took that picture and emailed it back to Wendy Williams. Wendy Williams said she had him in a compromising position and like it was gay, something like that. She was gonna put it out. Wendy had shown people that email. Puff told Hot 97 if they didn't get rid of her before he got back in New York, that they was not gonna get any music from any of his friends, any of the record labels executives that was cool with him. Everybody was gonna boycott their station. We was out in LA for about 3 days before we landed back in New York. Wendy Williams was in the radio station in Philly. He was fired.
We come from a very homosexual era of hip hop as well. There was a radio personality once upon a time. Her name was Wendy Williams, and she was practically burned at the stake for talking about such. And now it's all come full circle. There were many situations, none of which to talk about, but there were many situations back in the day in my career, and it's all coming full circle now. So
Wendy made a name for herself by being real. Too real sometimes. She wasn't polished, she wasn't perfect, but she was honest, and people loved her for it. She built her brand on being fearless, on not bowing down, on not being controlled. And that's what makes this whole situation hit even harder, because Wendy was never the kind of woman you could silence easily. She survived addiction. She survived an abusive marriage. She survived industry backlash. She survived being blacklisted. She survived humiliation. Over and over again, she got back up, stronger, louder, unapologetic. Her relationship with her son, Kevin Jr., was always the one soft spot people rarely saw. On air, she was tough. Off air, she was a mom, a protective mom.
Puffy wants Cassie back. Oh, it's been all over social media. Puffy posted a picture of Michael Jackson's song, Lady in My Life, and wrote, if anyone sees Cassie this weekend, please tell her to listen to this song 100 times. I suggest don't use social media though to reach out. I think this is a grand overture from Puffy. I don't believe he really wants her back. I believe he probably treated her at some particular point like a possession, like a possession. And If you really care, then you'd reach out privately, not publicly.
Y'all have bad blood for a while.
Real bad.
Real bad blood.
The worst blood.
The worst blood. You almost wanted to run you out of New York at one point, right? Well, not run, like push you out of New York at one point. He had you ran out. You give him full credit for that? Okay, cool. He had you ran out of New York.
A loving mom. She talked about him with pride. She bragged about him. She made it clear that no matter what chaos was going on in her life, her son was her heart. So when Wendy's health started to decline, when her behavior became erratic, when the headlines turned ugly, Kevin Jr. was right there, watching, worrying, and slowly realizing that something wasn't adding up. At first, the public was told Wendy was sick, that she needed help, that she couldn't manage her own affairs. Then came the guardianship. Then came the doctors. Then came the diagnoses. And just like that, Wendy Williams, the woman who once controlled every aspect of her empire, suddenly had no control at all. Her money? Gone. Her freedom? Gone. Her access to family? Restricted. Her voice? Silenced.
As the mother of a now 16-year-old.
Who I met backstage,
He did?
he's a great young man.
Oh, thank you. You represent a lot.
And standing in the middle of it all was Sabrina Morrissey, the court-appointed guardian, and a team of doctors whose words carried more power than Wendy's own. But here's the twist. Kevin Jr. wasn't convinced. He wasn't convinced that his mother was as incapacitated as they claimed. He wasn't convinced that the diagnoses made sense. He wasn't convinced that the people in charge actually had Wendy's best interests at heart. And instead of staying quiet, instead of being intimidated, instead of walking away, he did something most people would be too scared to do. He lawyered up. And now he's coming for everyone. According to the lawsuit, Kevin Jr. is accusing Sabrina Morrissey and the doctors involved of misdiagnosing Wendy.
This is not something that is like a conspiracy theory. This actually happens. But if they're able to separate Nikki and Kenny, that makes Nikki vulnerable because your husband is your power of attorney. Your husband is your signator on all of your accounts in the event anything goes wrong. Michael wasn't married. Britney Spears was married, but of course they control all of that. And so the mere fact that all these narratives are out about Kenny stealing this to buy chains and buy that, that's not what it is. It's like, they got doctors that are giving out these diagnoses saying that she's schizophrenic and bipolar and all of this stuff. And then Kenny's now here. She trusts Kenny. Of course, they've known each other since they were kids. Their families know each other. And so Kenny is just in the way. And so what do? You create narratives to try to separate, because if you separate, then you can divide and conquer. And so that's what it's about. She's going into her latter years and, there's a lot of money on the line and she's worth a lot, but Kenny is in the way. And so, look at what they're doing to Wendy Williams. Had Wendy would have still been with Kelvin, they wouldn't have been able to put her under a conservatorship because she has a husband. So, and like I said, there was only one that was accused of stealing. We're gonna leave it at that, okay?
He claims that false or exaggerated medical evaluations were used to justify placing Wendy under guardianship and keeping her there. He believes his mother was labeled mentally incompetent when she wasn't. He believes the system failed her, and he believes people in power took advantage of her vulnerable state. Think about how heavy that is. This isn't some random conspiracy theory on the internet. This is her own son saying, "You got it wrong, and because you got it wrong, you ruined her life." And the more you look at Wendy's situation, the more questions start popping up. Wendy has repeatedly said she is not mentally incapacitated. She has said she is being held against her will. She has said she is isolated. She has said she is controlled. But every time she speaks, her words are dismissed, labeled confusion, labeled instability, labeled part of the illness. That's a dangerous cycle, because once someone is branded as mentally unfit, everything they say loses credibility, even the truth. Kevin Jr. has reportedly pointed out inconsistencies in Wendy's care. If she was allegedly suffering from certain conditions, why was she still being allowed access to things that could worsen them? If she was truly incapable of making decisions, why were major life changes being made without family involvement? Why was he, her only child, pushed to the side? Why was communication limited? Why was transparency missing?
And then there's Sabrina Morrissey, appointed to protect Wendy's interests, appointed to manage her life, appointed to keep her safe. But according to Kevin Jr., that protection turned into control, and that control turned into isolation. He believes his mother was not being properly cared for. He believes her dignity was stripped. He believes decisions were made that did not benefit Wendy but benefited others. And let's be real, when you hear that Wendy's condo was sold, her belongings discarded, her pet given away without her consent, it hits different. That's not just management, that's erasure. That's wiping someone's life away while they're still breathing. But here's where it gets even more painful. Wendy is not some stranger to Kevin Jr. This is his mother, the woman who raised him, the woman who sacrificed for him, the woman who protected him. And now he's watching her be reduced to a patient number, a case file, a controlled asset. Imagine the helplessness. Imagine the anger. Imagine the guilt. Imagine the fear. And instead of being supported, Kevin Jr. has reportedly faced obstacles, legal walls, institutional resistance, closed doors. Because once a guardianship is in place, breaking it is not easy. It's designed to be airtight. It's designed to be final. It's designed to keep people in their place. But Kevin Jr. said, "Not my mother." He's suing because he believes the doctors misdiagnosed Wendy, that they failed in their duty, that they either overlooked key evidence or ignored it. And if that's true, then everything that happened after that diagnosis is built on a lie. The guardianship, the isolation, the control, the loss of freedom, all of it. And what nobody expected was for this to get public, because once a lawsuit is filed, everything comes to light. Records, evaluations, decisions, timelines. And suddenly, the story isn't just Wendy is sick. The story becomes, was Wendy wronged? People are starting to ask uncomfortable questions. Was Wendy over-medicated? Was she misrepresented? Was her condition exaggerated? Was she silenced because she was inconvenient? Was she easier to control than to help? And if you think that sounds dramatic, remember, Wendy built her career exposing uncomfortable truths. She made enemies. She knew secrets. She spoke on powerful people. She didn't play nice. So when she suddenly loses her voice, people notice. The emotional impact of this situation is heavy. Wendy has lost years of her life, years she will never get back. She missed moments. She missed freedom. She missed normalcy. She missed being Wendy. And Kevin Jr. lost his mother in real time, not to death, but to a system, to paperwork, to decisions he had no control over. Imagine calling your mom and not being allowed to talk to her. Imagine wanting to visit and being denied. Imagine knowing she's alive but unreachable. That kind of pain sits deep. That kind of pain turns into rage, and that rage turns into action. This lawsuit is not just legal, it's emotional, it's personal. It's a son saying, "You took my mom from me." It's a family saying, "You didn't protect her." It's a woman saying, "I am not crazy." Wendy has always been a fighter.
Even now, in her weakest state, she's fighting through her son, through her lawyers, through her voice when she gets the chance. And Kevin Jr. is standing in front of her like a shield, taking on institutions, taking on authority, taking on people with power. That's not easy. That's brave. And what makes this even more heartbreaking is that Wendy's whole brand was independence, strength, control, and now she has none. That's a cruel twist of fate. The woman who told everyone else's business can't even control her own life. People are divided. Some say the guardianship is necessary, some say it's abuse. Some say the doctors did their job, some say they failed. But one thing is clear, this situation is not clean. It's messy, it's complicated, and it's painful. Kevin Jr. suing Sabrina Morrissey and the doctors sends a loud message. He is not accepting the narrative. He is not accepting silence. He is not accepting excuses. He wants accountability. He wants answers. And most of all, he wants his mother back. And let's be honest, if this can happen to Wendy Williams, a rich, famous, powerful woman with resources, what does that say about regular people? What does that say about the system? What does that say about who gets believed and who gets controlled? This isn't just celebrity drama. This is a warning. This is a reality check. This is a story about power, vulnerability, and who gets to decide your fate. As this lawsuit unfolds, more details will come out. More names, more decisions, more truths. And some people are very nervous about that. Because once the curtain is pulled back, you can't hide anymore. Wendy Williams gave the world her voice. She gave us laughter. She gave us tea. She gave us honesty. And now she's asking for something simple, her life. So the question is, will the system listen? Will justice be served? Will Kevin Jr. succeed? Or will Wendy remain trapped in a reality she says is not hers? One thing is certain, this story is far from over, and as more layers peel back, we may find out that the woman who spent her career exposing others was the one being played all along. And if that's true, it's not just sad, it's terrifying. Because if Wendy Williams can be silenced, who's next?